They've effectively barred you from succeeding, not through any official ban, not written in law, but in real terms. Right now, while I record this clip, silver shows $115 on your display. That's the futures quote, the derivative number, the value they prefer you view. But here's the reality they don't want revealed. In Shanghai, tangible silver trades at $130 per ounce. In Tokyo, $140. In Dubai, $130. A $15 to $25 difference exists between true worldwide silver cost and what the derivative market claims. That isn't fair trading. That's a guilty admission. Boosting collateral on silver at this moment is like a gambling house rewriting rules mid-game because your streak is too strong. Except this fixed system impacts your future savings. And they've just turned the board upside down. The $52,000 collateral jump isn't risk control. It's an emergency brake built to shield banks facing massive losses on the losing side of this position. Stay through to the finish. I'll display the actual release that shows this is 1980 repeating. The identical strategy that broke the Hunt brothers. And I'll share the one step their $52,000 snare can't reach. This knowledge may keep you from becoming their next target. Welcome to the concealed financial world. If you want to grasp what Wall Street tries to hide, like follow and turn on alerts if you're ready for the real picture, let's start with their announcement. SmartFination just revealed fresh collateral rules for silver futures starting March 2026. The ongoing collateral is $51,177 per contract. That's a 35% requirement. To put it in context, a typical SmartFination silver futures contract equals 5,000 ounces of silver. To manage that exposure now, you must post almost $52,000 in cash merely to keep the position open, not to own the silver, just to sustain your wager on a rise. 3 weeks back, that collateral stood at $20,000. Then it climbed to $25,000, then $32,500, now $52,000. In under a month, they've more than doubled the cost of staying long silver. Why take this step? The public explanation is volatility oversight, risk limitation, safeguarding the clearinghouse. The true explanation is the banks are cornered and rewriting guidelines to get out. And I have recent evidence from 2 days ago. Let me show the SmartFination delivery report from January 26, 2026. This file just released and it backs up everything. January 2026 now ranks as the 6th largest silver delivery month in SmartFination records. Let me repeat, 6th biggest ever. And here's the crazy part. January isn't even a main delivery month. Main months are March, May, July, September, December. January is meant to be calm. No one is supposed to seek delivery then. But traders are demanding actual silver right now. 9,529 contracts delivered so far with 4 trading sessions left. Check the historical numbers. March 2025 led all time at 16,149 contracts. This is the same JP Morgan that paid $920 million in 2020 for precious metals manipulation. The biggest penalty ever. They've run this scheme for decades. In 1980, the Hunt brothers gathered silver. SmartFination changed rules overnight, and the Hunts lost it all. Same strategy, new decade. But now something else is happening that proves real panic. Gold just reached an all-time high of $5,279 per ounce. It happened right after President Trump said, "The dollar is strong." Markets heard that and instantly bought gold. That tells you everything about real views on the dollar. When the president calls the dollar solid and gold hits records the same day, that's markets saying nonsense. That's smart capital rushing to genuine assets. Silver always tracks gold, and silver remains cheap compared to gold by historical measures. Now let me show what's occurring in physical markets worldwide, because that's where the true story lives. Current physical silver prices around the globe. Shanghai, China, $130 per ounce. Tokyo, Japan, $140 per ounce. Dubai, UAE, $130 per ounce. Kuwait, $120 per ounce. Seoul, Korea, $118 per ounce. SmartFination paper price, $115. See what's happening? People who truly want physical silver, real metal they can hold, are paying up to 25% more than the paper quote. They're paying premiums that never existed in modern times. Why would anyone pay $140 for silver in Tokyo when the screen says $115? Because trust in paper has vanished. They want actual metal. They know the paper price is false. Traders call this the major split, the separation of paper prices from physical reality. And it's taking place now. Someone stated it perfectly. Silver at $140 in Tokyo and $150 on SmartFination is not a market. It is a confession. Now let me show why this is about to worsen significantly. You already know about China's export controls that began January 1st. 60 to 70% of global refined silver supply is now controlled by 44 state-approved entities. Elon Musk called it troubling. He's correct. But add that to what's actually happening at SmartFination right now. In the first 2 weeks of January alone, 33.45 million ounces of silver were physically withdrawn from SmartFination vaults. That's 26% of registered inventory gone in days. Since 2020, SmartFination registered inventory has fallen over 70%, from 346 million ounces to under 100 million. Vaults are emptying fast. And the January delivery data I just showed proves demand is speeding up. Now here's the number that should keep you awake. According to analyst Fisalamine, the global paper to physical ratio stands near 356 to 1. Let that sink in. For every 1 ounce of actual physical silver, there are 356 ounces of paper claims. Futures, options, ETFs, derivatives, 356 people who believe they own an ounce, but only one really does. The other 355 own a promise from the same banks now scrambling to deliver real metal before the entire system collapses. What happens when people start demanding delivery? What happens when they realize the silver they thought they owned doesn't exist? This is called a short squeeze, and we're watching the setup unfold in real time. Now let me explain the shutdown switch, because this is how they plan to escape. Mike Maloney, one of the most respected precious metals analysts globally, calls margin increases a classic shutdown switch. Here's how it operates. Step 1. Banks build massive short positions over years. They sell silver they don't have, betting the price will fall. Step 2. Silver begins rising. Their losses grow. They need the price to drop so they can cover. Step 3. They raise margin requirements. This forces smaller traders to sell their long positions they can't afford to hold. Step 4, the forced selling crashes the price. Step 5, banks cover shorts at lower prices. They avoid their losses. Regular traders are wiped out. Step 6, price recovers. Banks are safe. Regular people lost their money. This is not theory. This is recorded. This is how they've operated for decades. And the $52,000 margin is step 3 happening now. But here's what they didn't anticipate. The physical market is no longer cooperating. See, this tactic works when paper prices control reality, when everyone trusts the SmartFination price as the true silver value. But what happens when Shanghai trades at 132 while SmartFination says 115? What happens when people in Dubai pay $130 for an ounce they can hold? The paper price becomes meaningless, the physical market takes over, and once that occurs, banks lose control completely. We're seeing the early stages now. The major split between paper and physical, the two-tier market analysts have predicted for years. Let me give you an analogy. Imagine you run a casino. You've been selling chips that say they're worth $100 each, but you don't actually have enough cash in the vault to back them all. As long as everyone trusts the chips, no problem. Nobody asks for cash. The game continues, but then people start cashing out. They want real money, not chips, and you don't have enough. What do? You raise the cost of playing. You make cashing out harder. You change the rules to slow redemptions. That is exactly what the $52,000 margin hike is. It's the house trying to prevent a bank run. But here's the thing about bank runs. Once they begin, they speed up. The more you try to stop them, the more people panic. Now, let me show you something even more alarming. Silver lease rates have surged to 8%. Normally, these rates hover around 0.3 to 0.5%. 8% is extreme. What is a lease rate? It's the cost to borrow silver. When institutions urgently need physical silver, they pay to borrow it from those who have it. An 8% lease rate means someone is desperate enough to pay 8% annually just to get their hands on silver. That only occurs when there is serious physical shortage. The silver market is also in backwardation. That means the spot price is higher than the futures price. Normally, futures trade higher because of storage costs and time value. When spot is higher than futures, it signals extreme immediate demand. People want silver now, not next month, not next quarter. Now, these are technical signals that scream shortage, and they are all flashing red right now. Let me take a breath here and share something amusing, because this gets intense and we all need a break. My rideshare driver asked me about SmartFination margins last week. I'm serious. This guy picks me up, and within 5 minutes, he's asking about silver futures maintenance requirements. I almost banged my head on the seat in front of me. When rideshare drivers are asking about SmartFination margin hikes, something has fundamentally shifted in the world. Regular people are waking up. They are seeing through the game, and that terrifies those running the show. All right, back to the point. Let me tell you about 3 types of people watching this clip. The first type already owns silver. You've been accumulating for years. You watched the price stay flat while everything else surged, and now you're finally in profit. But you're nervous. You've seen them crush the price before. You've seen the manipulation. Part of you is waiting for them to take it all away again. The second type is interested. You've heard about silver. You've seen the headlines, but you don't own any. You're trying to determine if this is legitimate or just another bubble. The third type is doubtful. You think this sounds like conspiracy talk, you trust the system, you believe markets are fair, and I respect that doubt. But I'm asking you for 20 more minutes. Look at the data with me, just the data, then decide for yourself. To the first type, I say this: don't let them force you out. The manipulation is real. But so is the physical shortage, and physical always beats paper eventually. To the second type, I say this: do your own research, confirm everything I've said, check the SmartFination inventory numbers, check the margin increases, check the physical premiums worldwide, then make your own choices. To the third type, I say this: I was doubtful too until I examined the data, until I saw the patterns, until I saw what happened to people just like you who thought they were protected. Think this can't happen to you? Think American traders are somehow safe? Let me show you what happened 3 weeks ago in India, because this is your warning. In Rajkot, one of the world's largest silver trading centers, 44 trading firms declared bankruptcy in a single week. 44 companies, $425 million in losses. Wiped out, not over months, over hours. These were not beginners. These were professional traders with decades of experience. They held silver positions. They were profitable. And then SmartFination raised margins. The price collapsed, and they didn't have enough cash to meet the calls. When the House moved the goalposts, they were eliminated in hours. That is not India's problem. That is a preview of what happens when you play the paper game against those who control the rules. Now, let me tell you what comes next, because this situation cannot continue forever. There are only two possible endings. Outcome one: paper prices rise to meet physical. The manipulation fails. Silver explodes higher. The banks take massive losses. Some may face serious financial pressure. And everyone who held physical silver creates generational wealth. Outcome two: physical markets abandon paper pricing completely. SmartFination becomes irrelevant. A two-tier market forms. One price for paper promises, another price for real metal. The world realizes the paper market was fiction all along. Either way, physical silver wins. Either way, the people holding real metal are protected. The only question is timing. And based on the speed of inventory drawdowns, the physical premiums, the lease rates, and the desperate margin hikes, I don't think we have long to wait. Now here's something that might surprise you. I do not want the system to collapse. I do not want banks to fail. I do not want disorder. What I want is honest price discovery. What I want is a market where the screen price reflects reality. What I want is for regular people to have a fair shot. For decades, the silver market has been manipulated. The price has been suppressed, and regular people who trusted the system got hurt. The $52,000 margin hike is just the latest example. It is designed to protect institutions at the expense of individuals. It is designed to transfer wealth from regular traders to banks that made bad bets. That is not a free market. That is not capitalism. That is a rigged game. And the only way to win a rigged game is to stop playing by their rules. Physical silver does not have margin requirements. Physical silver does not get liquidated when SmartFination raises the stakes. Physical silver sits in your safe and does not care what the paper price says. This is why physical premiums are exploding around the world. This is why people in Tokyo pay $140 for something the screen says is worth $115. They have figured out the game. They have stopped trusting the paper. They want real metal. Now let me give you the data that makes this even more urgent. Silver has been in a supply deficit for 5 straight years. Every year the world consumes more silver than it mines. The cumulative deficit since 2019 is now over 1.3 billion ounces. Where did that silver come from? Existing stockpiles, reserves built over decades, and those reserves are now depleting. The Silver Institute projects the 2025 deficit will be the deepest on record. Nearly 300 million ounces. That is almost the entire annual production of Mexico, the world's largest silver producer. And unlike gold, silver gets consumed. It goes into solar panels, electric vehicles, smartphones, medical devices, and thousands of other uses. It does not sit in a vault. It disappears into the global economy and never returns. Every solar panel needs about 20 grams of silver. Every electric vehicle needs 1 to 2 ounces. Every smartphone has silver in it. Every data center, every AI processor, and nearly all cutting-edge technology relies on it. Silver is far more than a valuable commodity. It has become an essential industrial material, and we are quickly depleting the easily obtainable reserves. This is not alarmism. This is simple arithmetic. Supply minus demand produces a shortfall. Shortfall multiplied by years results in exhausted stockpiles. Exhausted stockpiles combined with China's export limits create a serious shortage. Here is what I am personally doing. I'm not selling any physical silver. I'm holding firm during price swings and big drops. I'm gradually adding small quantities. Only funds I can comfortably risk. Funds that can remain tied up for years if necessary. I avoid futures trading. I skip the paper-based market entirely. I hold actual metal, tangible metal with zero counterparty exposure. Now, let me present the opposing view because honesty demands it. Could silver collapse from current levels? Absolutely. In 1980, after reaching $50, silver plunged roughly 90%. Recovery took more than 4 decades. That event occurred. It remains possible today. Could price suppression keep succeeding? Yes. They possess more instruments, more tactics, and more ways to rewrite regulations. Never underestimate the determination of large institutions desperate to survive. Could I be entirely mistaken? Yes, I have been wrong in the past. I will be wrong again. Markets defy prediction. Anyone claiming certainty is usually selling a product. This is exactly why you only risk capital you can afford to lose. This is exactly why you spread investments. This is exactly why you decide for yourself after your own investigation. Before sharing my outlook, there is one crucial detail most overlook. It can separate those who get caught in the trap from those who build lasting value. Let me clarify why this $52,000 margin is mathematically engineered to force regular participants out. A standard SmartFination silver contract covers 5,000 ounces. At $115 per ounce, one contract represents $575,000 in silver value. Requiring $52,000 in margin means nearly 10% of the full amount must be held in cash to maintain the position. That is an extreme leverage limit. Compare it to equities. Many brokers permit stock trading on 50% margin. Certain futures contracts require only 2 to 3% margins. Yet for silver, they demand 10%. They increased it dramatically in under a month. Why? Lower margins allow ordinary people to join. They can maintain positions. They can benefit from an upward trend. At $52,000, average individuals are excluded. Only large institutions and high net worth players can afford to participate. This is financial exclusion presented as prudent risk control. And here is the truly ingenious aspect. They did not merely raise the dollar figure. They transformed the whole structure. Starting January 13th, SmartFination shifted to percentage-based margins instead of fixed sums. Silver now requires 9% of contract value. What does that imply? Whenever silver rises, the margin obligation automatically increases. You must supply additional cash to keep the identical position. In a rising market, this is punishing for buyers. The higher the price climbs, the more money you must add. Numerous traders cannot sustain it. They face forced liquidation, and their selling pressure drives prices lower. This defines a manipulated system. The rules systematically penalize anyone wagering on appreciation. But here is what they overlooked. Physical silver operates outside these constraints. When you possess physical silver, no margin rules apply. No liquidation warnings arrive. No extra cash is demanded as prices advance. You simply own the metal, genuine metal under your control. This explains why knowledgeable investors globally are leaving paper contracts and moving to physical holdings. This is why premiums in Shanghai, Tokyo, and Dubai are surging dramatically. They have recognized the paper market works against them, so they are abandoning paper entirely. Now consider something revealing about current futures activity. Typically, traders holding futures contracts roll them forward. They exit the near-term contract and enter a later one. They keep exposure without accepting delivery. This is how the paper system functions. Almost nobody seeks the actual silver. They only want price movement. Yet something unusual is occurring. Traders are rolling backward. They are shifting from March contracts into January and February contracts. They are speeding up delivery schedules. Why act this way? Because they want the metal immediately, not months later. They lack confidence that silver will be available in March. They aim to secure delivery at the earliest opportunity. This sends a strong warning signal to SmartFination. If many demand delivery simultaneously, the exchange fails. They lack sufficient physical silver to satisfy all contracts. Recall the 356-to-1 ratio. 356 paper ounces exist for every single physical ounce. If even a modest fraction of paper holders insist on delivery, SmartFination cannot supply it. They must settle in cash. When that occurs, everyone sees the paper price is artificial. That moment is called force majeure. It is when an exchange concedes it cannot meet commitments. Such events have struck other commodity markets before. We're observing the exact conditions forming right now. Here's my expected timeline because I know you want concrete details, and I will not evade. This is my assessment based on evidence. Not wishful thinking, not guesswork. This is where current indicators lead. January and February, severe price fluctuations. Further margin increases likely. Alarming news stories. Mainstream outlets labeling it a bubble. This is the cleansing stage. Weak participants leave. Committed holders build positions. If you sell in fear here, you deliver exactly what they desire. March through May, supply shortages become impossible to ignore. Physical premiums remain elevated or grow further. Silver challenges 120 to 130 on SmartFination. Mining shares begin rising. Mainstream coverage starts shifting tone. June through September. If physical outflows continue at present pace, delivery pressure may hit SmartFination. possibility of cash-only settlements. True price discovery moves toward physical markets. This marks the lasting separation. Year-end. My projection is $175 to $200 silver, potentially more if dollar instability or major global tension erupts. Given current signals, even that range may prove cautious. Could I be incorrect? Of course. Markets always hold surprises, but the alignment has rarely been this evident. The evidence has rarely been this strong, and the urgency has rarely been this transparent. Let me close with one core idea. History shows every fiat currency system ultimately collapses. Every effort to cap gold and silver prices eventually breaks down. Every control mechanism has a finite lifespan. The question is never whether. The question is only when. I believe that moment is nearing. The gap between paper and physical is too wide. Stockpile reductions are too rapid. The defensive actions are too clear. The $52,000 margin is not confidence. It is desperation. It is an institution struggling to survive. It is the final play of a side that knows defeat is close. When that side finally falls, the wealth shift will be monumental. From paper to physical, from financial centers to everyday people, from manipulators to accumulators. Ensure you stand on the correct side of that shift. Screenshot this message. Store it. Return in 6 months. Return in 12 months. Let us observe together how events unfold. 5 years from now, January 2026 will stand out.